Thank you for joining me again on Nuggets of Wisdom. I am Charles Musakanda. Really appreciate you taking the time to spend time as we grow, mature, and edify each other so we can walk in harmony, in one accord, and in love as we improve each other because we are forever a work in progress. Today, I'm going to touch on a real man. That real man stand up. It's quite a brisky spring day here in Canada, April 2022. Um, and as I am working outdoors, preparing for the coming winter, which is going to be 7.5 to 8 months from now, I had a nugget that I figured I'd share with you all. And I'll just give you a little show, just a little glimpse. You see there's a bunch of wood behind me there and some brush, uh, all coming from back there. As you can see, a lot of woodland and stuff back there. Now, fallen trees and everything, you name it. And I'm taking advantage of all of that to prepare for winter. And yet we just came out of winter. We're in spring right now. And this is just a little bit of what I've done over the past hour and a half or so with an axe and with a chainsaw. You know, axe for exercise and good health. And when the hands get tired, you run the machine. But that's besides the point. The reason for this nugget, gentlemen, as I mentioned, winter is 7.5 to 8 months from now. We're in April, and our winter is going to come back sometime in November. Cold season, and I'm already preparing for that. Now, that ignited a nugget in my mind to talk to younger men and mature men. And to you all young men out there, the moment you start feeling for having a girlfriend, those of you who are well in age and are able to have a fiance and then later into marriage, including mature men who are probably single right now and you're looking to be with a life partner, to be with a wife. This message applies to everybody, basically. But like I said, I want to touch on the young men right now. Young men, it's imperative that when you start thinking of a girl, you start thinking of wanting to be with someone, you also start thinking and preparing of how you're going to take care of that someone. Should life allow you to get to that point where you build a home, a family with that someone, you better have everything ready. Before you make a girl pregnant, see to it that you've made your pockets and your wallet, your bank account, it ought to be pregnant. Before you impregnate a woman, you better have contributed and added to impregnating the economy. Have something in place. Prepare. Be ready. When you go out courting these girls and dating them, remember you're in a competition. There's somebody else who also would have wanted to be with her. But you've convinced her enough that she be with you. And you've told her all the sweet things that you can and all the promises that you've given her. Be ready and prepare to deliver. And always have an availability of comfort and sustenance for her and for you, for your offspring, for whatever your life together, your lives together may bring. Always be ready. It's important. Man, those already in commitments, be it a girlfriend, fiance, a wife, mature men out there, seasoned men who've been in a relationship long enough, married long enough, it's high time that we recognize the need to provide and to always be there for our loved ones. You see, we spend a lot of time and a lot of money on things that most of the time don't return anything on our expenditure. They're not even a return on investment because it's not an investment. Half the time they're liabilities, depreciating assets. And we need to wise up and wake up and to realize that we made these promises and we've brought people into this world, and we've convinced these ladies to be with us. And it's our duty to be there to provide for them. Now, why? Why us? Because you're the head of the house. And you're the priest of the house. That's what scripture tells you. And being a head of the house and the priest of the house, as much as we enjoy and like to think of it that way, you got to remember that with a title comes responsibility. To whom much is given, much is required. That's why CEOs and presidents and executives, bishops, leaders in any environment are paid more than their subordinates. Why? Because when you're a leader, think about it really. When you're a leader, you're basically the chief servant because everything falls on your shoulders. Therefore, when you're given that title, it means you're also given responsibilities, more responsibilities than anybody else. And those titles can be stripped off you if you don't do well. The same with your priesthood. Because God does speak. If you read Hosea 4 verse 6, it does tell you at the very end, the tip end of the verse, that if you don't exercise your priesthood, God can take it away from you. He can take that blessing and that value from you. And here you are thinking that you're standing and yet you're falling. It's important that we find that sense in us to know that we ought to provide and we ought to be the security and the protector of our families, of our loved ones. The moment you start thinking about being with someone, start preparing. 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 8, it says, "For whosoever fails to provide for his own, particularly those of his own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel." Strong words, not from Charles Musakanda, from the Almighty himself, from the script writer himself, the inspirer of the word himself. Not me, God Jehovah himself. And if I may just take a little moment, I don't typically like to marginalize any group of people. My message is open to everyone, all tongue, kindred folk. It's not for one specific group. But if I may speak to my fellow black men, gentlemen, we ought to stand up even more. We're behind on the monopoly game, and we're playing games. There's nothing impressive about running around in Nikes and Louis Vuittons, Gucci's, driving Benzes and Beamers. Invest in something that gives you a return. Invest in something that betters your generation. Invest in something that leaves a legacy. For as long as we're behind on this race, we look foolish trying to look like we're ahead of the game. Now, that doesn't just apply to black men. I just had to add that in as a black man myself. And sometimes you see things within your own race that you can touch on and speak on, but this is a human race message for all men, because our differences are not in the race. Our differences are in cultures and traditions. So you could be of any race and you still think and have the same mentality. That's why this message is for everybody. Men, it's time we stand up. You heard the word. He who fails to provide for his own, particularly those of his household, has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. And providing for your own means that you provide for those that are poor in your community, your relatives, your wife's relatives, and other extended family too. Those in the faith whom you believe with and you worship with, who you fellowship with. But it says, in particular though, your spouse, your children, which is your immediate household. And this speaks to men who are widowed, divorced, separated. You too have a responsibility. If you've brought anybody into this world, whether you're with the mama or not, you have to take care of your offspring. Exercise your responsibility. Be diligent. The onus is on you. You made that decision back then, and you ought to hold up on that decision. It's not enough to talk and to look good out there. Walk the talk. May God help us. May God guide us. May God lead us. May God strengthen us as we do this work to prepare and to always be ahead of the game. Work has always been there. Before sin was, Adam was commissioned to work. Work was a pleasure. He was there to tend the garden and to take care of the animals and to name them and all that jazz. But before sin, it was pleasurous. When sin came, when he and Eve ate of the fruit, only then we were told we have to sweat for our bread. But nonetheless, still having to work. May God help us. Thank you again for joining me on Nuggets of Wisdom. I am Charles Musakanda. Please comment, add, like, share, subscribe as we grow together and continue to improve, because we are a work in progress. Have a good one, and see you again soon.